In 1947, as sectarian violence between Jews and Arabs there grew, the United Nations approved a plan to divide British Palestine into two separate states. One for Jews, Israel, and one for Arabs.
After the World War One, it's like the British having their hand in there caused the problem. Yeah, they should find a way to sort this out because people are dying. Oh, I love you more than words can say. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy again, Shae, the one and only, guys, and we are back here again today, guys. So guys, today we're going to check a brief, simple history on the Israeli-Palestine conflict, okay? Because I'm sure a lot of people have been wondering, what caused it? What caused it? What is the main reason why they've been having problems for a long time, from time immemorial, from way before my dad's time, his dad before him, like way back. Why? So today, guys, we're going to check and find out the reason. I really pray for a solution to be found, okay, sooner rather than later, because it's going really crazy. Anyway, before we start this, guys, make sure you smash like, subscribe, give me some love, and let's get this started. Let's go. First of all, I'm going to do a like, subscribe, okay, subscribed. Let's go, guys.
One of the biggest myths about the Israel-Palestine conflict is that it's been going on for centuries. All about ancient religious hatreds.
Yeah.
In fact, while religion is involved, conflict's mostly about two groups of people who claim the same land.
Hold on. You say it's a myth that's been going on for centuries. Yo, it's been going on for a long time. Have you seen it like in the Bible times, like in the before Christ? Yeah, I know they've been having issues since King David's times. Yeah, man, how many hundred years before Christ? So I think it's not a myth. It's not a myth. It's been going on for longer.
And it really only goes back about a century to the early 1900s. Around then, the region along the eastern Mediterranean we now call Israel-Palestine, been under Ottoman rule for centuries, was religiously diverse, including mostly Muslims and Christians, also a small number of Jews who lived...
Okay, no, I understand what he means now. Okay, I get what he means. Basically, because, you know, the Jews were sort of kicked out of their land, and there was a time they were stateless. They had no place. Okay, so obviously there would be conflicts, but then when they came back to reclaim their land, that's over like a century ago, that's when this conflict kicked off again. So it was on before, it took a break, and it resumed again. Well, this is my opinion, yeah, from what I've read so far.
Been under Ottoman rule for centuries, was religiously diverse, including mostly Muslims and Christians, also a small number of Jews who lived generally in peace.
Okay.
It was changing in two important ways. First, more people in the region were developing a sense of being not just ethnic Arabs, but Palestinians, a distinct national identity.
Okay.
At the same time, not so far away in Europe, more Jews were joining a movement called Zionism, which said that Judaism was not just a religion, but a nationality, one that deserved a nation of its own.
Okay.
And after centuries of persecution, many believed a Jewish state was their only way of safety and saw their historic homeland in the Middle East as their best hope for establishing it. In the first decades of the 20th century, tens of thousands of European Jews moved there.
Okay, so because they were scattered all over the world, they were completely scattered, all right? And then they're trying to find their way back. I mean, I know in the Bible there's a place, one of the prophets said the Israelites will be scattered, they will have no home for years and years and years, and then after some time, I mean, they will find their home. But I know like a lot of people are not religious, but all of these are texts I've written. I've been looking this up. I've read quite a bit, and that's how I gathered all this information.
After World War I, the Ottoman Empire collapsed. British and French empires carved up the Middle East, the British taking control of a region it called the British Mandate for Palestine.
Okay.
At first, the British allowed Jewish immigration. But as more Jews arrived, settling into farming communities, tension between Jews and Arabs grew. Both sides committed acts of violence, and by the 1930s, the British began limiting Jewish immigration. In response, Jewish militias formed to fight both the local Arabs and to resist British rule. Then came the Holocaust, leading many more Jews to flee Europe for British Palestine and galvanizing much of the world in support of a Jewish state. In 1947, as sectarian violence between Jews and Arabs there grew, the United Nations approved a plan to divide British Palestine into two separate states. One for Jews, Israel, and one for Arabs.
Okay, so the Israelites left their land. I know for some reason they were scattered. Okay, and then they started migrating back. All right, and they started forming sects. Okay, then they started forming their militias. They're slowly trying to take over the land that was there. Interesting.
Palestine. City of Jerusalem, where Jews, Muslims, and Christians all have holy sites, was to become a special international zone. The plan was meant to give Jews a state, to establish Palestinian independence, and to end the sectarian violence that the British could no longer control.
Okay.
The Jews accepted the plan, and they declared independence as Israel. But Arabs throughout the region saw the UN plan as just more European colonialism trying to steal their land. Many of the Arab states, who had just recently won independence themselves, declared war on Israel in an effort to establish a unified Arab Palestine where all of British Palestine had been.
After the World War I, it's like the British having their hand in there caused the problem. Because they wanted to take over the land, okay? The British actually conquered it, okay? The British had it for some time. But then the British were trying to please both sides, so they tried to create two states, okay? But now the thing is, creating those two states is what caused the problem, okay? In the sense that the Jews migrated back there, and now because they have a sense of belonging to that land, they wanted to take back their land, all right? And then the Arabs that were identifying as Palestinians, yeah, I think that's what he said, also wanted to have their own state of Palestine there, because they've been there, they're from there, they've been there, and they feel like it belongs to them, and they're feeling like the Jews that migrated back to their own land have no place. So it feels like they're creating a completely new state. But it's just that there was Israel there before, but then they obviously lost it, but then they tried to migrate back, and they tried to get the land from the British that had it. Do you understand? It's getting confusing, bro. So basically, the British took over the land, but then the Palestinians wanted it back. The Jews also wanted their own land back. Simple.
The new state of Israel won the war, but in the process, they pushed well past their borders under the UN plan, taking the western half of Jerusalem and much of the land that was to have been part of Palestine.
Okay.
They also expelled huge numbers of Palestinians from their homes, creating a massive refugee population whose descendants today number about 7 million. At the end of the war, Israel controlled all of the territory except for Gaza, which Egypt controlled, and the West Bank, named because it's west of the Jordan River, which Jordan controlled.
So hold on, the whole Arab nation fought against Israel. Like, remember, the Israelis that was there, they were just immigrants, yeah? They were migrants that migrated back to their country, okay? So the whole Arab nations fought against them. The whole Arab nation fought against a new country, okay? And the new country won against all these countries around them. So little Israel, the Arab nations all around, they fought. And little Israel won and took their lands. Dude, that's crazy, man. What kind of war was that? Were they fighting with aliens?
This was the beginning of the decades-long Arab-Israeli conflict. During this period, many Jews in Arab-majority countries fled or were expelled, arriving in Israel. Then something happened that transformed the conflict.
Okay.
In 1967, Israel and the neighboring Arab states fought another war. When it ended, Israel had seized the Golan Heights from Syria, the West Bank from Jordan, and both Gaza and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt. Israel was now occupying the Palestinian territories.
Oh my flying days. So they did the first war, and they encroached into some Palestine land, okay, there. Then they were attacked again by the whole Arab nations. They came to crush them, and guess what? Israel defeated them, and this time they took more of the land. The land they're trying to get back is the land of their fathers. It's the land of King David, like the land that they had from a long time ago. They call it the Promised Land. I know a lot of people don't believe in that. They'll be like, Promised Land, man, what? Forget the Promised Land. The Promised Land was in the Bible days, and those days are way past, way gone. But the Israelites have so much strong faith and believe in that, and they're like, you know what? We want the land back. And for some reason, they're still there, and their military strength is just out of this world. Yeah, man, it's out of this world.
Including all of Jerusalem and its holy sites.
They took
This left Israel responsible for governing the Palestinians, a people it had fought for decades. In 1978, Israel and Egypt signed the US-brokered Camp David Accords. Shortly after that, Israel gave Sinai back to Egypt as part of the peace treaty. At the time, this was hugely controversial in the Arab world.
Oh, so they gave Sinai back to Egypt because they wanted peace.
Egyptian President Anwar Sadat was assassinated in part because of outrage against it. But it marked the beginning of the end of the wider Arab-Israeli conflict. Over the next few decades, the other Arab states gradually made peace with Israel, even if they never signed formal peace treaties. But Israel's military was still occupying the Palestinian territories of the West Bank and Gaza, and this is when the conflict became an Israeli-Palestinian struggle. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, which had formed in the 1960s to seek a Palestinian state, fought against Israel, including through acts of terrorism. Initially, the PLO claimed all of what had been British Palestine, meaning it wanted to end the state of Israel entirely. Fighting between Israel and the PLO went on for years, even including a 1982 Israeli invasion of Lebanon to kick the group out of Beirut.
The stillness of the ceasefire in southern Lebanon was shattered today by the sound of guns, bombs, and flames.
The PLO later said it would accept dividing the land between Israel and Palestine, but the conflict continued. As all of this was happening, something dramatic was changing in the Israel-occupied Palestinian territories. Israelis were moving in. These people are called settlers, and they made their homes in the West Bank and Gaza, whether Palestinians wanted them or not. Some moved for religious reasons, some because they want to claim the land for Israel, some just because the housing is cheap, often subsidized by the Israeli government. Some settlements are cities with thousands of people, others are small communities deep into the West Bank.
If you've always felt a deep yearning for Jerusalem, now is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, not only to stand within its gates, but also to build the home of your dreams there.
The settlers are followed by soldiers to guard them, and the growing settlements force Palestinians off of their land and divide communities.
Wow. Wow, this is crazy, bro. This is crazy, bro. This is really, 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 really crazy.
Short term, they make the occupation much more painful for Palestinians. Long term, by dividing up Palestinian land, they make it much more difficult for the Palestinians to ever have an independent state. Today, there are several 100,000 settlers in occupied territory, even though the international community considers them illegal. By the late 1980s, Palestinian frustration exploded into the Intifada, which is the Arabic word for uprising. It began with mostly protests and boycotts, but soon became violent. Israel responded with heavy force. A couple hundred Israelis, over 1,000 Palestinians died in the first Intifada.
Wait, how many? Take it back.
Heavy force. A couple hundred Israelis, over 1,000 Palestinians died in the first Intifada.
Wow. You know what is a bit strange to me? Okay, what's a bit strange? Now I'm just trying to talk like a layman. Is that how did little Israel conquer these countries? How did they defeat these guys that are there that outnumber them? How did it happen? Was it magic? Did they use some kind of superpowers? Because how can they are new. They're just a fresh new nation. And these nations are there, outnumbers them, like greatly outnumbers them. Not just outnumbers them, greatly outnumbers them. But Israel still defeated them and took their land. And they're still there in the middle of them. What's going on? Really, what's going on? Me, I know, yeah, like I keep referring to the Bible. I know, like from Bible times, to say yes, that land is a land with milk and honey that God promised to give to the Israelites, okay, to Abraham, to Israel his son. And I know a long time ago when King David went to take Jerusalem, he was meant to kick out the Jebusites because it was Jebus. It was Jebusites a long time ago. He was meant to kick out the Jebusites, but he didn't. He left some of them, and then a prophet there said, "Oh, for not kicking out the Jebusites, you're gonna have this problem. The descendants are gonna have this problem all their lives, and they're gonna be kicked out of their land." So they got kicked out of their land. They come back. For them, they have a very strong attachment to that land, and they really want that land by hook or by crook. To be honest, I know it's been going on for years, but there must be a solution. There must be a solution that favors both sides. Don't you think so? Yeah, they should find a way to sort this out, because people are dying. There's no need, there's no use for people to be dying. Yeah, no use for innocent lives to be dying. We need to find a solution to this problem. Okay, we need a solution. I wish I knew what the solution could be.
A group of Palestinians in Gaza, considered the PLO too secular, too compromise-minded, created Hamas, a violent extremist group dedicated to Israel's destruction. By the early 1990s, it's clear that Israelis and Palestinians have to make peace. The leaders from both sides signed the Oslo Accords.
Okay.
This is meant to be the big first step toward Israel maybe someday withdrawing from the Palestinian territories and allowing an independent Palestine. The Oslo Accords established the Palestinian Authority, allowing Palestinians a little bit of freedom to govern themselves in certain areas. Hardliners
Wow, you see how they are scattered all over the place? They're scattered all over the place, so they don't have one land. Wow, that's crazy, bro. Yeah, so the Israelites divided them, so there's no way they can be together united. Basically, that's what you're saying. Wow. Okay.
Both sides opposed the Oslo Accords. Members of Hamas launched suicide bombings to try to sabotage the process. The Israeli right protest peace talks with ralliers.
I missed that.
Both sides opposed the Oslo Accords. Members of Hamas, allowing Palestinians a little bit of freedom to govern themselves in certain areas. Hardliners on both sides opposed the Oslo Accords. Members of Hamas launched suicide bombings to try to sabotage the process. The Israeli right protest peace talks with ralliers, calling Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin a traitor and a Nazi. Not long after Rabin signs the second round of Oslo Accords, a far-right Israeli shoots him to death in Tel Aviv. This violence showed how extremists on both sides can use violence to derail peace, keep a permanent conflict going as they seek the other side's total destruction. That's a dynamic that's been around ever since. Negotiations meant to hammer out the final details on peace drag on for years, and a big Camp David summit in 2000 comes up empty. Palestinians come to believe peace isn't coming, rise up in a second intifada, this one much more violent than the first. By the time it wound down a few years later, about 1,000 Israelis and 3,200 Palestinians had died. The second intifada really changes the conflict. Israelis become much more skeptical that Palestinians will ever accept peace or that it's even worth trying. Israeli politics shift right, the country builds walls and checkpoints to control Palestinians' movements. They're not really trying to solve the conflict anymore, just to manage it.
Because like they say the Israelites started giving up hope of having peace because they wanted peace, but they started giving up hope because of how things were going, and they accepted that there would be no more peace, so they started trying to manage peace instead of trying to find peace.
Or that it's even worth trying. About 1,000 Israelis and 3,200 Palestinians had died. The second intifada really changes the conflict. Israelis become much more skeptical that Palestinians will ever accept peace or that it's even worth trying. Israeli politics shift right, the country builds walls and checkpoints to control Palestinians' movements. They're not really trying to solve the conflict anymore, just to manage it. The Palestinians are left feeling like negotiating didn't work, and violence didn't work, and that they're stuck under an ever-growing occupation with no future as a people. That year, Israel withdraws from Gaza. Hamas gains power, but splits from the Palestinian Authority in a short civil war, dividing Gaza from the West Bank. Israel puts Gaza under a suffocating blockade, and unemployment rises to 40%. This is the state of the conflict as we know it today. It's relatively new, and it's unbearable for Palestinians. In the West Bank, more and more settlements are smothering Palestinians, often respond with protests and sometimes with violence, though most just want normal lives. In Gaza, Hamas and other violent groups have periodic wars with Israel. The fighting overwhelmingly kills Palestinians, including lots of civilians.
Oh my days, like innocent lives being lost, really hurts me. Like on whatever side, like what's the use of lives being lost? This is a life. We need to value life, human life. We can't create life, no matter how hard we try. We need to find a way. We need to value life. We need to find a way,
In Israel itself, most people have become apathetic. For the most part, the occupation keeps the conflict relatively removed from their daily lives, with moments of brief but horrible violence. There's little political will for peace. No one really knows where the conflict goes from here. Maybe a third intifada, maybe the Palestinian Authority collapses. But everyone agrees that things as they are now can't last much longer.
Yeah.
Israel's occupation of the Palestinians is too unstable to last, and that unless something dramatic changes, whatever comes next will be much worse.
You said whatever comes next will be much worse. The thing that's meant to come next has come already. The thing has come now, because it's really crazy now what's happening in that area. Okay, they say they talk for years. They've been talking and trying, then fighting and killing themselves, and for some reason they can't find peace in that land, because two countries claiming the same land. How can that work? I mean, two peoples claiming the same land. How can that work? The best way can work is find a divide. Okay, find a way to divide it and be like, okay guys, there's no way you guys can have this, there's no way we can have it. Okay, so let's just count the whole thing and be like, okay, you take that, I take that, you take that, I take that, you take that, I take that. But now the problem is this: if they finally agree to do that, on both sides there are extremists in the sense that I'm not saying terrorists. When I say extremists, in the sense that people that are like, no, this land is ours, it belongs to our fathers, okay, and we are keeping the whole land. And the other side are like, no, this land is ours, it belongs to our fathers, and we are keeping this land. And then boom, back at loggerheads again. So it's just so crazy. To be honest, yeah, I don't know what the solution is going to be, okay, but I would just say that it's best for us not to take sides. Okay, it's best for us not to say you are pro-Palestine, you are pro-Israel, you are pro this, you are pro that. Let's try not to take sides, because my reason is, if we take sides, yeah, we're putting more fuel to the fire. Okay, we're putting more fuel to the fire, we're generating more hatred. But the best way to sort this out is to understand that these two people, they all want to have peace. They all want to have a land that belongs to them. Okay, they want to have that oneness, that unity, that togetherness, yeah, and be allowed to live their life, to live in peace. That's what they want. So we just need to try to find a way to help them, okay, to get a solution, to get a lasting solution. All right, that's what we need to do. I just pray we get a solution to this, and all of this gets sorted out sooner rather than later, and peace is restored to that land, to that area, because I mean, humanity, what's happening to us? We need to be one. We are one. We need to show we are one. We need to find a way to coexist. That's what I think, you know. This really hurts me. This really hurts me. Okay, this really hurts me. Yeah. Anyway, guys, it's been your boy Shady, the one and only. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I know I might have missed a lot of things, okay, because this is just my point of view. Okay, this is my point of view. I just want both sides to find a way to sort this out. Okay, we just need peace. Okay, guys, let's get that peace. Thank you. Peace out.
I love you more than words can say. You are me. Oh, you are the light that shine in my way. You are me. Oh, I love you more than words can say. You are me. Oh, you are the light that shine in my way.